Happy New Year, everyone. Feliz Ano Novo. Welcome to episode 32. This is my first episode of 2026, and thank you to returning viewers for joining me back here, and for all the new viewers. Well, welcome in. This is going to be a full episode. I've been uploading some shorts recently, and I've gotten quite a few followers now, thanks to the shorts, which were my son's idea. But it was a great way for me to upload just a little snippet of my 12 cast-ons. So this whole episode is going to be about the 12 cast-ons and why I decided to do that in the 12 days after Christmas, which was December 26th to January 6th. And why? I had a plan and a reason for doing it. As you saw from the video, it's a good thing that it was only 12, or I'd run out of room on my little sofa chair here, where I have them all lined up in order of my cast-on. Why did I decide to do this? Well, last year I discovered Angela of YarnNYarns. She has a podcast here on YouTube, which I will link below. And I will link the video where she explains the 12 cast-ons. It's a make-along. It's a make-along throughout the year. And I enjoyed participating in it last year, even though I didn't finish my 12 items last year. I got really close. And I found that it gave me a plan of what I wanted to make. And it encouraged me to work on them, even though it didn't stop me from casting on any more items throughout the year. In my last episode, which is also linked down below, I did give a tally of what I actually finished in 2025. And it included some of the 12 cast-ons. So for this year, my 12 cast-ons were for a reason. They were planned out. And I'm going to take you through the 12 cast-ons. If you've seen the shorts, you've seen some snippets. Before I start talking about the 12 cast-ons, let me put a little disclaimer here. This episode is brought to you by the colors blue and brown. Yes, blue and brown. When I planned out the projects, I planned them for the project, not realizing that once I started to work on them, the majority of the color for all of my projects is either blue or brown. So if you're looking for pink and bright colors, this is not the episode for you to watch. But to have a little pop of color, I decided to put on my ranunculus, which was my Christmas sweater from last year. This is my ranunculus number 3. I made this with 316 dye studio tweed DK. Just looking at my Ravelry page here, because I'd forgotten what was the yarn that I used. And this yarn I bought, and I do love browns and blues. I do have some pop-up colors in my wardrobe. No pink. I'm not a pink person. But let me say that the reason why I ended up with this lime green is because I bought this at Wool & Folk 2023. And I'd walked into the booth and had seen a beige tweedy sweater on display, and that's what I went for. You know, beige, browns, blues. And she didn't have enough skeins, and she talked me into buying this color. She said, try this color, it's going to look beautiful on you. I didn't exactly believe her, but it was the Wool & Folk with all of the rain, and I felt like the dyer needed support. So I took her advice and I bought the skeins of yarn. And I'm so glad that I did, because it came up beautiful. The color does suit me. I will say it's the only bright green I have in my wardrobe. But as long as I have one item, I'm okay with it. So all of the information on this top is on my Ravelry page, and I've linked it below. So there's my advertisement for the color and the disclaimer. So if blues and browns aren't your thing, sorry, catch me on the next one. So let's talk about the 12 cast-ons now. I said that I had a reason and a purpose for them. And the reason is I wanted to, first and foremost, I wanted to use up yarn that had been caked up or kitted or in a project bag for a while. It's time to let it out, let it get some air, let it become what it was meant to be. Reason number 2 is because I wanted to use up yarn that was gifted or make an item with a pattern that was gifted from viewers of the podcast, and I wanted to show on here that I really appreciated their gift and I made something with it. with what they gifted me. Reason number 3 is to repurpose some yarn. Repurpose yarn from some projects that I've made that didn't come out the way I wanted them to come out, but I love the yarn and I don't necessarily want to gift someone the item because they wouldn't really understand the cost of the yarn. And yeah, so it's better if I just repurpose it and make something for myself. Item number 1 is in this bag, which is a camper van bag that I've had for quite a while. I bought this at New England Fiber Fest a few years back. And it is a bag by Knit for Queen. She makes beautiful, beautiful bags. It's a nice sweater size bag. So in here, I have this beautiful yarn that I purchased at a local to me open air market from a local hand dyer. And it is Pink House hand dyed yarn in the colorway Hydrangea 2023. So I bought this in 2023. Loved the yarn for its name and bought all 4 skeins that she had on the table. My plan had been to make the Petal Party Crock by Samantha Guerin, and in a few episodes back I talk about this, and all of it is linked on my Ravelry page. So this is what it was looking like, and the yarn is gorgeous and the pattern was great, but the yarn and pattern together, I just wasn't feeling it. And so I decided to set it aside until I could make something else with it. Having had the idea to do the lento for a while, I had caked some yarn a long time ago to do the lento, which got cast on for something else that I'll show you in a minute. So anyway, here's what was already caked up. Needed to be used to go along with the plan, use up caked yarn, but it needed a little something. So since the pattern calls for a fingering and a mohair, I picked up this Lana Grossa set to Surrey, which is a silk alpaca blend, and the combination of the Surrey with this gorgeous yarn, which has a lot of blues and purples to it, gave me this fabric. Now, I already have it on Barbara cords because I tried it on for the test fit, and it's fitting beautifully. And I'm hoping it's not going to clash too much with my green here. I didn't think about that, about how the color would work against the green. So let's see how it looks. There it is. It is a very light lilac. It's got a little hint of gray to it from the light, the way you're seeing it now, but it's really, really more lilac than it's appearing. And it is working up beautifully, and I'm loving it. It was hard to put this one down. It was the first cast on, and that first night, so I cast this on December 26th, which was the day after Christmas. It was a work day, but still, you know, at the end of the work day, I cast it on, and I just kept going and going and going, and it was hard to put it down. And so here's my item number 1, the lento, and I think this one is going to be done up soon. About the pattern, most everyone knows about this pattern, but let's do this the correct way and say that this is a pattern. It's an $8.40 pattern. It calls for a US 6 4mm and a US 10 6mm, and it's by Jonah Helan. Apologies if I'm reading that wrong. And I can see why so many people have made it. It is a super simple, quick pattern to knit. And I have a feeling once I finish with this one, I'm going to want to cast on another one because it does work up super fast. So number 1, lento. Number 2, the number 2 is the One Love Shawl by Joji Locatelli. And this is a $5 pattern and calls for a US 7 4.5mm. And the yarn that I'm using on this one, and I should show you the bag that I have it in, right? I have it in this bag, which was made for me by Manuela of Du Coração Atelier. And my bags don't necessarily match the color of the yarn. It's whatever bag was closest at hand. And I have a lot of Manuela's bags close by. I love her bags, so you'll hear me mention her a couple of times. And here's what I am using. This is, let me get a little tag here. I am using this, I did say brown, right? Blue, brown, well, lilac, brown. I'm using this beautiful yarn. This is Malabrigo sock in the color Marte. And this was gifted to me by a viewer of the podcast, Lee. She lives relatively close to me, and I had met up with her to give her the gift, and in exchange, she gave me yarn. I told her, I said, that wasn't the plan. The plan was for me to gift you, not you to gift me back. So that's what this yarn is, going in with the plan of using up the yarn that was gifted. Lee, I'm loving working with this yarn. And here's what this shawl looks like. Now, I can't remember if I said this earlier, so I'm going to repeat myself here, or it might be the first time I'm saying this. You're going to find that my projects are one garment, one accessory, one garment, one accessory. So that was the plan. The plan was to cast on 6 garments and 6 accessories, because, you know, I wasn't going to cast on 12 garments because I do want to make other stuff throughout the year. So lento, and now the One Love shawl. Ended it up really fast. This was a cast on December 27th, which was a Saturday, so I was able to do a little bit on it. But I have to admit, I haven't touched it since I started to cast on all the others. So this one's it's gonna be, my plan is to, as I work on these, do like a random pick on the day. All right, today I'm gonna work on this one. We'll see what mood I'm in on the days that I go into work. Sometimes the simple little item is what is required for the work day. On the home days, obviously, it's going to be the stuff that involves a little bit more reading of a pattern. So that's number 2. Number 3, and I love how this one is coming out. This was another one that was so hard to put down. And this one was not, the yarn hadn't been caked up, and it's not a gifted pattern. This is one that had been on my radar for a while. Ellie of Crafthousemagic had made one for herself, and it was absolutely beautiful, stunning colors. She did it in her colorways, and I knew I needed to make one. And I've had this yarn in stash for a while, and I thought it's time to use it up. And so I kicked it up and I did it, and I am talking about The Forest Land by Jennifer Steingast, which is Knit Love Wool on Ravelry, and here it is. I'll put it here. This one has been very hard to put down. The stitches are looking a little scrunched up, but I know it's going to block out well. And what's the yarn that I'm using? All right, so beige brown, right? I am using Miss Babs Yowza in the color Russet. And I love these colors. And Rock Sparrow. Beiges and browns. And the two combined work really, really well together. So this is what the pattern looks like. If it can't be imagined in my scrunched up version. And I am keeping this pattern in this basket. This is a Fiber Hustle basket. Chip, 1/2 of the Fiber Hustle podcast, makes baskets, and it's a quilted basket. It's a stunning piece of artistry, and it is perfect for the Miss Babs Yowza large skeins of yarn, and I'm able to keep the whole project in here. This is the first time I've knit with Miss Babs Yowza, and now I can see why at the festivals her booth is so overrun right at the start of the day. the yarn is absolutely beautiful to work with. So number 3, the forest land. Just because I love the pattern and I'm going to make it because I want one on that one. All right, number 4. Number 4 was a pattern that was gifted to me by the lovely Nicole, who watches this channel. And I have it in this bag, which was made by a local to me bag maker. She sells at local markets, pop-up markets. So this one is, let me just, give me 1 second here while I pull it out. So this is a mohair pattern. It is the Dew Scarf by Irene Lynn. And it's a $6 pattern, and it calls for US 10 needle on mohair. I have to admit that mohair is not the easiest thing for me to work with. I can work with it on a sweater combined with fingering, but on its own, it's a little bit of a challenge. I wanted to give it a try because it's an absolutely lovely pattern. So here's my progress on it. Yeah. It's just itty bitty little bit. I did 2 pattern repeats on it. And for this, I am using this blue, which is Rowan Kids Silk Haze. Stash yarn. And I thought, okay, that's going to be perfect. The pattern, it's going to work out beautifully. But I'm having a difficult time with it. So I made a decision. I have a bit of this Knit Pick Stroll fingering in stash, and I combined it with this, and this is what I have going right now. And it's not exactly what the pattern looks like, but it really showcases the pattern to do it this way, which is absolutely stunning. Here's what the scarf is looking like in combining the knit picks with the mohair. You can really see, can you see that? The texture of the pattern. This is beautiful daisy-like, this flower-like pattern that's emerging. And I've done about 4 repeats now on it. And it is still very lightweight. It is very soft. It's going to be very cushy. And I think it's going to do the pattern justice. And it's going to be something that's going to look stunning when it's being worn. And since I added the fingering weight to it, I am using a size 10.5 needle to give it a little bit more of a openness. I mean, the pattern calls for a 10, so 10.5 I thought was reasonable. So that's the Dew Scarf Olivia version. Thank you, Nicole, for the lovely pattern. That is number, I need a haircut. My hair's getting so long. I know I keep pulling it back. I realized from watching the last video how many times I do that. It's because the hair keeps getting in front of me. All right, so that is number 4. Number 5 is the Lucy Tea. The Lucy Tea by Sari Nordland. And this one I have in this bag, which is a bag that was gifted to me by Manuela of Dukuris Atelier. It's a nice bucket bag. She calls it a Japanese rice bag. To me, it's just a nice bucket bag to put in a project. And it does travel with me to work. I can fit a couple of projects in here. So the Lucy Tea. This one is a repurposed yarn project. For this one, I am using Upland Fiber Co. Merhair, which is a DK yarn. It's an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. And this is what the Lucy Tea is looking like. This is how much I've got done on it. I've got the back done. And now I'm doing the right shoulder, and then I'll do the left shoulder. And then the construction is then you've got your front, and then eventually you'll join it in the round. And it's this beautiful textured pattern. See if you can you see that? So I used the yarn to make the Mellow Mood top by Julia Pirro, which I love the pattern. But in previous episodes, I talked about how I misread the sizing on the pattern. Totally an Olivia fault, nothing to do with the pattern. I just chose to ignore a very big clue and messed up on the sizing. And this is what I have finished. And so it's completely finished, bound off. It's been blocked. It's been worn for a test fit. And I don't have the courage to put the picture on here, but if you go to my Ravelry page, you'll see this being worn. And I've got it as a frog, so it's at the end of the list if you're really curious. But it ended up coming out a little too snug, gave me too much of a feel of I've said this before and it still is pretty accurate, of a Jessica Rabbit garment, and it's just not me. So I am going to repurpose the yarn, and because it's already been knitted and blocked and all of that stuff, I figured it would be better for me to do a pattern that had texture, so that way I won't be too concerned about the stitch definition. So that's the plan. Repurposing the yarn from here. My husband thinks I'm nuts. He thinks I should gift this to someone. In all honesty, I can't give it away. The yarn is beautiful. I love the yarn. I have to make something with it for me to wear. And I have found that I'm okay with gifting shawls, scarves, hats, mittens, you name it, I can. I have gifted several garments over the years, only to find that the recipient has never really worn it. And I don't want this to end up in a drawer somewhere, never being used. So I'm going to repurpose it so that I can wear it. So that's item number 5. This is going to be a long episode. I thought I was going to do this fast. You can speed me up, right? You can do that, right? You can just hit. So item number 6. Item number 6 is the jaunty. And the jaunty is something that I wasn't sure I wanted to make, but I've been seeing a lot of people work on it with their hand spun or yarn that they had in stash. And it was like, I got to give it a try. And I have yarn that I want to repurpose for it. Also very deep stash. And it's in this bag, which is another bag from Manuela, which fits into that other big bucket bag. And here's my jaunty progress, my item number 6. So the jaunty is by Andrea Mowry. It's an $8 pattern, and it calls for US 5 needle. And here's what it is looking like. Brown. Yeah, I know. I told you, blues and browns. And it's true what they say. It works up so fast. It is so cushy. It is so squishy. It is going to be a perfect scarf for my husband to wear. And this is the yarn that I am using. When I say deep stash, I'm not kidding. This is Blue Moon Fiber Arts Wobu yarn in the color Porcini. I had used this yarn to make a sweater for my son number 2, and he never wore it. He doesn't care for it, so it's been sitting in the bottom of his drawer. I've decided I'm going to repurpose his sweater. I'm going to make stuff with it. But again, because it's been knit, blocked, sat for several years already, I needed to make a project with it that had some texture to it. So this is what the yarn looks like. This is what I had left over from his sweater, so it's still, you know, balled up. I think this will be enough for me to make one of these, but depending on where it lands, I may not need to go into the sweater, and I'll use the sweater for something else. I'll frog the sweater for something else. Or I just might make several of these and gift them. Since this is such deep stash, it makes the perfect gift so that I can work that down. So that's the jaunty. That one was a quick one. I know you've seen that one from other podcasters. So that's 6. So let's take a break here, shall we? You know, if you want to pause me, go get yourself a drink. I'm going to get a sip of my tea, which, don't laugh, is my mug that is, you know, taupe is the color you'd say. And I'm having my favorite tea, which is my Guriana. If you know, you know. Okay, so I've rearranged a little bit so I can have faster access to the other project. So item number 7 is the Alhambra. And the Alhambra is a pattern by Isabel Kramer. It's an $8.40 pattern. And this one isn't necessarily to repurpose yarn, although it might be. It's because I had, a while back, I was working on her Neona sweater, and I didn't know if I was doing the pattern correctly, and I thought it was possibly because of the yarn that I had chosen, but it wasn't. It was because I wasn't reading the pattern correctly. But to test my knowledge, I decided to grab a skein of sport weight yarn that I had in one of these boxes here, which is Knit Picks Upcycle Alpaca, right? Yeah, Upcycle Alpaca blend. I've used this yarn before for another sweater that I made a few years ago, which is the Alenjana. It was my Rhinebeck sweater for 2023 or 2024. It might have been 2024. And I knew how the yarn was going to work up, so I thought this is going to be great for another Isabel Kramer pattern. Not for the Neona. Once I figured out the pattern correctly, I just knit it with the yarn that I initially had planned for it, and I tinked back, or I just frogged what I had done with the yarn. So I had these balls. This is what I had set aside, and I'm like, now it's not in skein form. It needs to be used. And that's why the Alhambra got cast on. And this is what I've got so far. This pattern is a drop shoulder pattern. It's going to be hard to see because it's just in the needles right now. I'm at the point where I'm going to start marking for the sleeve separation, I think it was. And that's why I stopped, because I said, okay, I have to get myself some more markers to add to it. And let me see if I can show you a good example of the saddle shoulder here. I guess I can show it here. I've got, for the shoulders, I've got my little markers on it here to remind me that I'm working on the shoulder. So this one is, I mean, it knit up easily. I do enjoy knitting with this yarn. And I already know how it's going to work up. I know how it's going to fit on me. And as with all Isabel Kramer patterns, I've learned to do a size 4 for the cast on with the size needle that she recommends, and then at the bust line go up to a 5. This is my 4th or 5th Isabel Kramer pattern. I really do enjoy knitting her garments. So this one will be something I'll work on through the year. Don't laugh. It is a color that I like. So that one will get some love too. Okay, number 8 is the see if I say this right, zigzag scarf. And I've been wanting to do this one for a while because I had this ball of Zauberball crazy yarn and it needed to be used up. And I also had this mystery yarn in stash that I don't know where the label went. And so here's the Zauberball. Let me unwrap it. It's all wrapped up around the scarf. This is the colorway. It's so pretty. It's got the teals and the blues and the browns, right? Blues and browns. It's got navy, it's got dark brown, it's got aqua, and it's got, you know, some brick color in there. See, all my colors right there on a ball. So combined with this, because it calls for 2 colors, this is what it's looking like. And I cast this one on January 2nd. So it's my January 3rd project. I've forgotten to give you the dates of my cast-ons. But on Ravelry, I've got them all by date of cast on and what number that they fall in. So this is a January 3rd project, and I worked on this. I cast it on the night before, but I worked on it when I was sitting for the readathon at the New Bedford Whaling Museum. Every year, the Whaling Museum does a readathon of Moby Dick, and I've been participating for the last 10 years in the mini marathon, the Portuguese reading of Moby Dick. Yes, it's just as difficult to read in Portuguese as it is in English. And this year he had me read 2 sections because the reader before me wasn't able to get there in time. And I did it. I did it. It's always a thrill for me that I'm able to read those big words in Portuguese. Especially since, you know, I'm an English major and I already know Moby Dick is a hard read, and my Portuguese is only at the 3rd grade level. That's when we immigrated to the United States, was when I was 9 years old. But I've kept up as best as I could with my reading and my speaking and my writing. And so that was a lot of jibber jabber. Let me go here. I forgot about this green clashing. Here's the zigzag scarf. And you alternate every 2 rows with the colors, so it's working up really nice. So this one is going to be an on-the-go project as well. The pattern is really easy to remember, and it'll be one that I can grab and say, all right, today I'm going to work on 10 rows of this. So the zigzag scarf, it's a free pattern, and it's by Christy Cam. Yeah, Cam. And it calls for a US 3, a US 3, 3.25 millimeter. And is this one. Item number 9 is the slip-on pullover. The slip-on pullover is a sweater by Portuguese designer Carolina Frias. She is bow knit here on YouTube and on Ravelry. And this is a free sweater pattern. It's a garment. And for this one, I wanted to use up yarn that was gifted. This is this beautiful yarn, hand-dyed by Maria João, or João as we affectionately call her. She is in Lisbon, Portugal, and she dyed this gorgeous skein of yarn. It is her Halloween 2023 colorway, and it was a gift to me from Manuela. And I had this yarn in stash that I thought would match it really well. It's a color work yoke, so I thought these 2 colors would go really well together. Initially, I had thought of doing the Knit Picks gray, but it was too light. This blue, which is the red pansy, I picked this up at Indie Untangled this past year. It is merino soft sock and the colorway Tempest. So I thought these 2 were going to work out really well, and I started the project, and this is what it's looking like. I've done the cast on, I've done the short rows, and this one calls for a size 3, 3.25 millimeter for the cast on, and a size 6, 4 millimeter for the color work. And here's the color work. And it is a slip purl pattern. And the colors are working out beautifully, but I am debating if this is the right pattern for this skein of yarn, João's yarn, because it's such a beautiful yarn. I don't think the pattern shows up in the colorway. So I've been debating on this one a little longer. I might end up doing the sweater with a different yarn, and I might end up using this yarn for something else. I am going to keep the sweater. I am just not sure this is the colorway for the color work. So I might be swapping that one out. Stay tuned to see what I decide to do with that one. That is that one. Item number 10 is the one that I can't believe it's taken me so long to do this one. Everybody else has done it. It is the Muscle Burra hat by Isolde Teague. It's something that I didn't think I would do. Everybody kept talking about the pinwheel start, the whatever, the start was a little fiddly, and I'm like, I don't have the patience to do it. Well, it was a piece of cake. It worked up so fast. And here's what I'm talking about. The start of the hat, it worked up really, really fast. There's really nothing yet. It's got a little old, but then it gets seamed together. So here's what I've got so far on. I can't really see because of the needles, right? And I am using, for this, I am using yarn that I've had in this bag. It's just a makeup bag that I had, but it works up beautifully for 2 balls of yarn. And I've got this yarn here, which is what I've got left over from the Christmas socks I made, the husband and son, last year. I had bought 2 skeins of this yarn and 1 full of this one. And this is the New England Patriots colorway. And it is from Biscotte Yarn Sock. And I had it aside thinking that I was going to make them more socks, but no, I think it's going to be the Musselburgh. And just in case I mispronounce, because I'm reading it sort of in the how I would read it in Portuguese. I think it's Biscotte, but I could be wrong. And Bissock. And yeah, so that's the plan. The plan is to use up this yarn for the Musselburgh. I probably will have enough to make 2. I don't know, but it is something that I know the guys here in this household will wear. They may, you know, have to decide who's going to get to wear it first, since the New England Patriots football team is the team that's cheered for in this house. We are on the south coast of Massachusetts, about 40 minutes away from Foxborough, where they play. So that is sure to be something that they'll enjoy wearing. And it's one of those 2 that I can just grab and take to work, depending on what's going to happen in the day. Okay, number 11. Number 11 is a total squirrel. It is not what I showed on the podcast that I had planned to do. I had planned to do the Forsythian by Jennifer Steingass. That has gotten set aside. And for this one, I put a full blame on Nancy Wheeler of Knit Sip Happy. She talked about this on her podcast, and once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. And I am talking about the gingerbread sweater. I had this yarn balled up for the lento, and I was going to use it with this Knit Picks Aloft. And doesn't see the color, does it? Yeah. Oat, color is oat. I was going to use these 2, brown, for the lento, which never got done. But once I saw the gingerbread sweater, I thought, okay, I know what I'm going to use it for. And let me just, what I'll do is I'll put a picture here of what the gingerbread looks like. Here's what I have so far. Here's my version of it. Look at how pretty that is. Look at that. That beautiful, that brown. So this is a fingering and mohair pattern. And I'm just looking in my bag. No, I don't have the pattern with me. But as I said, I'll have a picture here so you can see it. And it is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love it. I love it. My 2 favorite colors, beige and brown, together. And I am using, this is Knit Picks Hawthorne in the colorway Fawn. So it is a fingering weight yarn, and it's a tonal. And love the yarn. I think I have enough of this in stash. If I don't, I might have to go onto Ravelry and do an ISO in search of and see if somebody is willing to part with some of theirs, because Knit Picks no longer carries this colorway because it's been so long since I've had this in the bag. And I've had this in this bag here, which is also a camper van bag that I bought at, I think I bought this at Wicked Good Yarns in Braintree. She has someone, yeah, she has somebody who makes these bags for her shop. It's Dye's Work. For those of you that are new, I do a lot of camping in the summer. So yeah, camper van bags are for me. And for the final one, item number 12, an accessory, is another ball of yarn that I had caked up for a while, needed to be used up. And I have it in this bag, another beautiful little project bag. It's been quilted by Manuela do Coração Atelier. And the yarn that I have in here is this gorgeous sparkly black yarn. This is the Treasure Goddess yarn, Sparkle Toes sock yarn. I don't remember how I got this yarn. I don't remember if it was gifted, but it's deep stash, and I would not use it for socks with the sparkles. So it's been set aside to be a scarf for a while. And for this yarn, I decided to use it up for the simple thing. The simple thing? It's a scarf. And Nancy of Knit Sip Happy was showing one that she just recently finished. So yeah, I decided to cast one on too. It's very similar to the Sophie scarf. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. It does have the I-cord edging on both sides, and I think it's working up really, really nicely. So that's another quick one to add to all of the garments that I've got on the queue. And I've reached my end, and I hope I've kept you here all this time. If not, well, hopefully you'll catch me the next time. Hope you'll be back. Thank you to everyone that's been following me along on this journey. Thank you for those of you that have been with me from the beginning. Thank you for being here with me. For those of you that are new, I hope you'll stay on with me and follow my yarn journey here as I show you what I turn into knitwear from the yarn that I love to acquire. And yeah, it's going to be my 2-year podiversary in February, early February. So my hope is to record more often if I can. I'll probably be doing a few more shorts now that my son's suggestion has shown me that it does work. It does put the channel out there. And so I'll probably do some more of those. And I'm thinking about some changes for the channel too, in terms of marketing it, or branding it, I should say. So there might be changes coming up. Won't affect how you find me here on YouTube, but it's more in how I market the channel, and just as I'm getting more and more comfortable with pushing it out there, looking at getting a logo made, and yeah, we'll see what comes of it. But next episode, I'll give you an update on that. For now, this is all about the 12 cast-ons. And the last thing that I want to show, don't leave me yet, I'd almost forgotten, I wanted to show you this, the 12-day advent from Crafthousemagic. The colorway this year was Dragonfly, and in the shorts I started to show, but it's all here now. I want to show how lovely this whole advent is. I've got it here, and here are all the beautiful colors. It started with, whoops, it started with, I'll push this one aside. It started with the purples, and then it has this whole gradient into the teals. And this is the final full skein, which has all of the colors in it. And it is the colorway Dance of the Dragonfly. And Ellie adds a little extras on her advents. I've got a needle. I've got a little sachet here of lavender. And there's a little sample here of the wool wash. And yeah, it was an absolutely lovely, lovely advent. And Ellie always adds a little sample of her yarn as well in there. So that was my treat to myself this Christmas. This was my gift. And that is a wrap, folks. Thank you for being here with me. Obrigada por estar aqui comigo. Until next time, até a próxima. Thank you. Obrigada.